Well, I think we've reached the appointed time. She is getting a sign-in sheet for comments and for visitors. So, good morning, everybody. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
They going to call the meeting to order. First order of business is roll call. So, City of Hobbs, Mr. Cobb.
Here.
Eddy County.
Here.
Susan. Here.
Jack's on the
And
phone.
Jack, you're on? Good. Jack, you couldn't make it because of what reason? Jack, are you there?
I think that might have been Johnny Cole.
Is that? Jack? Jack. Johnny? Who was that? Sue, we can't hear who's online. Could you maybe boost that up so everybody can hear?
Is that better? Johnny?
Is that Johnny or is that?
Yes. Yeah, this is Johnny Cope. I'm here.
Okay. That's Lee County. And was that Jack Potter one as well?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Johnny Cope and Lee County. Here. Mr. Black. And City of Carlsbad. John Heaton.
Jason Shirley's on travel. Mr.
Jason's
Chairman.
on travel. He said he was going to try to call in. And then we've got Lee County Hobbs. Okay. So we do have a quorum. So the next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I would entertain a motion to do so.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Commissioner Crockett moved.
I'd amend that to say Ms. Crockett, and I would second her motion.
And the Mayor Cobb seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, so it is unanimous. Johnny Cope on the phone, aye. The next order of business is the approval of the minutes from the previous meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
I see that the minutes on the agenda say 2/28, and the minutes of themselves say February 8th. So it should be the minutes from 2/8.
The
2/8,
minutes
correct?
the minutes in the packet that I have indicate Wednesday, February 8th, 8 a.m.
Yeah, and it says on the agenda, approval of the minutes
Oh,
from
okay, so
2/28
the agenda,
needs to be amended.
okay. I'm sorry, I misunderstood that. So anyway, so that's an agenda correction. So we're on the, so on an agenda correction, and that's just a typo.
Well, no, excuse me, Mr. Chair. I thought the meeting was, my calendar says it was February 28th, the meeting. And the agenda says February 28th.
The
The minutes say
of-
February 8th.
So which one are we
Well,
correcting?
I will
minute-
make a motion to amend
That's the
either
minutes,
one
I'm
as
sorry.
long as it gets them correct.
I'm sorry.
So if it's the 28th, the minutes of the 28th, then I will make a motion to approve the minutes with the correction that they should state February 28th. How's that?
That's perfect.
Okay.
Any other additions or corrections? Okay. Mr. Cobb moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Okay. Commissioner Black seconds. So with that, is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Mr. Cope on the phone is aye. So it passed unanimously with that amendment.
Good morning.
The next item on the agenda is the financial report. Mr. Lowe.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you look in your packet, there's financial report. It looks like it got ran. When they ran it portrait instead of landscape, but I can still. If you look, expenditures for the year, the 3153 would be for supplies. The 2772 would be for insurance that we have to pay every August. Then the 532125 is the audit fee for the 63017 audit. And at the end of, as of March 22nd, 2018, we had $87,955.98 in cash available.
Okay, any questions about the financial report? Hearing none. The next item is the accounts payable.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, the only expenditure since the previous meeting was the audit fee, which $5,721.25 payable to Axiom. And there is a copy of that invoice in here for your review.
Okay, any questions about the accounts payable? Hearing none, I accept the motion to adopt the accounts payable.
So moved.
Mr. Cobb moves.
Second.
Commissioner Crockett seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those that oppose? Hearing none. Mr. Cope online is aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. The next item on the agenda is presentation of the budget for fiscal 19.
Yes, sir. There's your copy right there. Yes, since everyone will look, the budget put together, we're projecting the cash at July the 1st, 2018 of $97,752.23. We project with the cell phone tower revenue and the Holtec funds to have revenue next year of $11,547. And then this budget basically follows the same as last year's, where the board had asked last year that we increase the traveling per diem because of the work that will be done on behalf of the Holtec licensing. Then we have $20,000 in there for legal fees. And then the $22,000 in there in contract labor, professional services, that would be about the $4,800 for the annual audit, and the rest would be for website development and other activities.
Okay, questions about the projected budget? No questions? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. The projected amount for the website, is that a pretty set amount? Have we finished looking into that?
That, from my knowledge, being handled by by John Waters.
Well, Waters and by Steve Varick and Holtec.
Okay,
We're working on that. The estimated cost of that was $15,000, as I understand it.
I just wanted to make sure we had enough in there to
Yeah.
cover that.
That was the estimate on the cost.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Chairman.
I don't know what it will be, but that's what they were projecting. That was some of the estimates. Any other questions at the budget? Hearing none, I would accept the motion to adopt the 2019 budget.
So moved.
Mr. Cobb moves.
Second,
Mr. Cope seconds.
second, Johnny Cope.
Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Assume you're ready to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And Mr.
Aye.
Cope says aye on the phone. It passes unanimously. Chairman says aye. So the next item on the agenda is we are very grateful to the County of Lee for providing the services that they have to us related to keeping the records as well as being our fiscal agent. So I am proposing that we send them a letter asking them to, if they would please continue with that activity. So the letter is in your packet. It's brief, but it's just extolling the virtues of our county in terms of what they've done for us, and also for Mr. Lowe's activities, appreciation of that, and asking that they please continue those services.
If Mr. Caldwell will help me remember, we'll make sure we get that on the agenda for the next meeting.
So we would like very much for you to continue, and so asking you to do so if you kindly put it on your agenda. So
I'd make that motion and also enter this letter into the record so it can be delivered to the Lee
Okay.
County Commission as a reflection of the minutes.
Mr. Cobb moves approval of the letter and placing it into the minutes of the meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Crockett. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All the,
Aye.
and Mr. Cope online says aye. I say aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes unanimously.
Ms. Heaton, if you would please sign in and then pass that on around to the rest of the group so we can get everybody's signature.
Okay. I think maybe we've done that.
Mr. Chairman, while you're doing that, I'm obviously in California and can't be there, but I'm moving back to Ruidoso next month, and I'll try to attend in person the next meeting.
Thank you. We appreciate that explanation. I assume everybody's been able to sign in. So the next item on the agenda is the change of our Open Meetings Act. We had, and we amended it last time to 72 hours. We've been advised by counsel. Mr. Caldwell, would you like to make a comment?
Yes, sir. The Open Meetings Act talks about notice for public meetings and says that it should be reasonable. The statute does not define what is reasonable. It does say that the agenda itself should be published 72 hours in advance. What is reasonable notice is an issue that's probably open to discussion and possibly debate, but the better practice would be to make it as long as you possibly can. I would suggest 7 days minimum, but I believe that the attorneys who represent the four entities here have agreed that this body should probably adopt a notice of 10 days. Those are calendar days for your notice of public meetings, and that would be our suggestion.
So with that, in your packet is a This is item 2. Now therefore be it resolved, item 2 changes from what we did have to a 10-day period. And so I would entertain a motion to adopt.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to go against council, but I think we ought to try to keep ourselves as flexible as we can without violating Open Meetings Act. And I'd prefer to try to stay with 7 if council could be comfortable with that.
I would agree with Mr. Coe.
I mean, we may have something come up that we need to have a meeting.
Yeah.
And anyway, I mean, if 10's what we need to do, I'm okay, but I prefer 7.
Well, there are provisions within the Open Meetings Act to have special meetings, I think, with shorter notification. Mr. Caldwell, would you like to comment on that?
That is correct. If the board requires a meeting outside of a regular meeting, 3 days' notice would be appropriate.
But that would be a work session, which, under a work session, we would not be able to vote.
So I don't have a copy of your resolution.
Well, I'm reading, it
in front of
says,
me.
upon the press, 72 hours notice for work sessions in advance of the work session. But Mr. Stone, work session, we do not have voting rights in work sessions, correct?
That's correct. However, if you're going to do a work session, you still have to publicize it.
Right.
Still has to be publicized. But ultimately, you know, the attorneys are going to be as consistent as we possibly can. And then anytime we need to do a special meeting, that's fine. But
We can do a special meeting under a 72-hour notice?
that is correct.
Yes, it's.
With voting rights?
So paragraph 3,
Okay. I'm fine with
page 1,
that.
paragraph 3.
Paragraph 3, paragraph 7, both address special meetings. So, what is everyone's pleasure?
John, with that said, or Mr. Chairman, with that said, I'm fine with 10.
Okay. So I would entertain a motion to adopt the Open Meetings Act with that amendment in it, which changes it to 10 days. And we will all need to sign this again and date it and indicate our vote.
Okay.
I'll make that motion that we adopt the Open Meetings Act with the amended 10 days.
Okay. Mr. Black makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Crockett seconds. Is there any further discussion? Just a comment from me. I think the last time we were trying to get ourselves in a position where we were not going to be criticized as easily as we seem to have been, and not that anybody, I think, wanted to shorten the period of time. We have people that from Texas that have driven from Fort Worth, which is a long distance. I don't know whether we have anybody from Albuquerque, but at any rate, it does take a little preparation and notice for folks to get here. And so I think this is a good change. So with that, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Mr. Coe?
Aye. Aye.
I vote aye. And we'll all need to sign this again, like we did before. Dated, am I correct, Mr. Caldwell?
Sure, that would be fine. Actually, this is just amending the Open Meetings Act resolution that you passed at the last session. It really isn't passing a new Open Meetings Act resolution, you're simply amending it.
Okay.
So,
So does that, yes or no?
yes, you can go ahead and sign the new resolution.
Multiple choice.
All right, I think we all have to probably sign it. So, at any rate, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the status of the HIPAA request.
Mr. Chair, at this time, I don't have any report on that.
Okay, so the only thing I would say is that there has been a formal complaint with the Attorney General, and as a consequence, we were required to respond by, I believe it was the 6th or the 8th of April.
I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it's the 6th of April.
6th, I believe it's the 6th of April, we're required to respond, so that's the only thing I have to report. So, I'm not sure does anybody have any information on the webpage, anything else?
No.
Mr. Lowe or?
Don't have anything.
I don't have
Okay,
any.
so both our DOD people are out of state. They're at a meeting somewhere, I think.
They're in Long Beach.
Long Beach, California, where
MRO
we'd all like to be,
conference.
except not at a meeting. Okay, so as far as the Holtec update goes, I don't think there's anything new regarding that. There may have been one or two presentations at the Waste Management Symposium last week. But otherwise, I'm not sure that there's anything new about what's going on there. So the next item, unless anybody has any questions, are there any questions from anyone? Hearing none, then we'll move to item 13, which is public input. Anybody that would like to, let's see who has. Anybody that would like to speak, would be happy for them to. We'd like for you to limit your comments to about 3 minutes, so please, who would like to be first, go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members. My name is Lon Burnham, and while I was born in Eddy County, I've spent most of my adult life in Fort Worth. Part of that time, 18 years as a state representative from Fort Worth in the legislative process. I first want to start with my limited time to thank you. Your action on number 9 represents an attempt to make the process more open and accessible, which is, I think, extremely important given the magnitude of the issue here. I do want to make it clear that I do not consent to the process. I live within a mile of the railroad tracks that will be handling all this high-level radioactive waste. We know that the canisters are not safe. So I'm presuming to say on behalf of a lot of people in Fort Worth, we do not like what you're doing, and we do not consent. I am concerned about this particular governmental body. You're a kind of an interesting hybrid, but nevertheless, you are, as you're well aware, obligated to conform with all of New Mexico state law, some of which is better than Texas law, by the way, on open access to government. And I would urge you to be more diligent in complying with the law than you have been in the recent past. I also want to point out to you that this proposed project is in itself not yet legal. What we're talking about here is a centralized, quote-unquote, interim, which everybody that knows anything about the economics knows will be permanent storage facility. This is not legal within the context of current U.S. law. So I'm here to make it clear that on behalf of public citizen, we do not consent. I specifically have a situation that I think makes me a potential plaintiff with standing, because I'm so close to those railroad tracks, which I'll say a little bit more about if I have time. And I just want to make sure you guys understand the moral implications of inviting an entity to come into your home community whose primary purpose will be to reprocess high-level radioactive waste to create more plutonium. Now, I kind of agree with the Pope on this one. We should not be doing this. And the fact that this entity exists primarily to promote something that I think is fundamentally immoral will be the reason I'm here as often as I can be to talk to you about redirecting your agenda. Now, just to get to the point of why the canisters themselves are so inadequate and why the transportation network in this country is so inadequate, Tower 55 is in the heart of the district I used to represent. Tower 55, imagine a traffic signal, the one traffic signal in town where over half of the nation's imports from the port of Los Angeles goes through. It's good news for us in Fort Worth. It's a good economic engine. The bad news is frequently the trains sit there for over 24 hours at a time. That means the canisters that are likely to be emitting radioactive waste will be sitting in our community for over 24 hours at a time. So we have a reason to be very concerned about this proposal. Thank you for indulgence. I think I have more than 3 minutes. I'll try not to do so next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who would like to be next?
Hello again, I'm Lorraine Villegas from Hobbs, New Mexico. I'm here on behalf of my community, specifically those who can't be here. And your consideration to open the public notice to 7 to 10 days would be greatly appreciated. So that way I can give my employer, since I am working, plenty of notice to be here. Otherwise, it kind of looks like, I know by law it's 72 hours, but if we keep it 72 hours, it kind of seems like the community can't really be here and follow along, which is important to follow this because it's a pretty important situation. So 7 to 10 days would be greatly appreciated, and thank you for considering that. Also, again, I do not consent. The way the industry has handled previous nuclear waste releases throughout the state, I do not agree with. We still have people who are dying from cancer, and nothing's been done about that, so I will not consent to this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nicholas King, pastor at the Carlsbad Mennonite Church. One thing we all agree on is that we want what's best for this area and for our community and for our descendants and for the civilizations that follow us here. Right? We can all understand and affirm that. Having said that, we are being approached by this company that has strong incentives to sell us this shiny new Ford, and that's what we've heard. We want this shiny new Ford. But the salesman, when they get their commission, can leave, and the company, the Ford Foundation, can close their doors like any for-profit organization, can walk away from it. We, though, are stuck with this Ford forever. This is a permanent, irreversible decision that we as a community are making now. There's no going back after we make this decision. All the other decisions you make in life can be changed, but this one is permanent. And I want us to all understand the gravity of that. There's a group of us, citizens with questions, that are going to be meeting April 7th in Carlsbad to do more questions and make this a community decision for the good of the community.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?
I would like to.
With that,
I would like to, John.
oh, yes, go right ahead.
I would like to say that I object to the business of this board. I do not consent to this project. It is not my wish for there to be an interim facility or for dirt to turn on this project. Please consider reversing the agenda of this board. I would ask that this board continue efforts with transparency and provide for my inspection of the minute book. I asked for an inspection of the minute book last week, and I expect an inspection of the minute book, please. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Bob moves, and Ms. Crockett seconds.
Thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We stand adjourned.
There is such a delay.